What's up, internet world, and welcome back to Accelerate. I'm Mike, he's Ian, and today we're in the BMW X5M. All right, BMW lovers, we have 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque out of this 2024 BMW X5M with an 8-speed transmission. Let's see how much faster this is than the X6 M60i. So I've got everything in sport, I've got stability program off, foot to the ground on the brake side, foot to the ground on the gas side, launch control active, and go. Whee! 3.54. This thing rips. That is over half a second faster. So it has an 8-speed transmission, and this is the first time BMW's ever had a mild hybrid on an M car. And the way they've done it, it doesn't increase total output. All it does is it's in the transmission, and it helps the transmission get to like movement faster. Okay, let's try that again. To the ground, launch control active, and 3.86. Okay, a little bit slower. Let's do it one more time for good luck. Just roll into it. This thing rips, man. It sounds so good. Even like zipping around town, it sounds so good. Okay. Go. Oh, that was good. That was good. 3.58. Okay, so 3.5 seconds basically this thing does. 0 to 60. Just sounds so monstrous and mean and alive is probably the best term. To the front of this BMW X5M. This is muscular, bold, and crisp is what BMW throws in their adjectives, and I completely agree. So we'll start off with the BMW logo right here. Then you have these two massive kidney grills that are beautiful and black, and they have this satin finish around it, unlike the chrome ugly finish on that convertible. You have the camera hiding right there, and you see this X design just to reminisce the fact that Elon changed Twitter. Then you have the radar right there, a lot of bulkiness going on, thinner updated headlights with the indicators built into the DRLs. Of course, their projectors, side lights, all the finagles that go with that. You have functional side vents, functional front vents, functional upper vents. This is 100% functional. Take a look at these wheels. These things are massive, but not only that, they're staggered. The fronts are 295, 35, 21, and the backs are 315, 30, 22. Yep, they're 1 inch bigger on the back, and of course, they are wider. Now, the X5M doesn't have an actual wide body like paneling to it. It's just this little piece of plastic that goes around, sort of a fender flare, but a really, really skinny one. Then you have the M right there, X5M, very clean, sort of the same things that the M3 and M4 get. Then you have M blacked out mirrors, and of course there's no chrome. This is an M car, so black trim up and down, including the roof rail, which is a nice touch. Now there's something interesting about BMW X5Ms, and it's the wheel gap they have. I just find it a little bit too much. It should be tucked a little bit more. This sort of looks a little bit aftermarket-ish in my opinion. Now as far as fuel goes, you can put 91, but they recommend 93. This is a sports truck after all. Now moving along to the back, you have this extended spoiler that has this little design. Cool, love that BMW. Moving down from there, of course, you have a brake light and then a rear wiper, the BMW logo, and then more of this X design motif in these taillights. Then you have, of course, a lot of black, including this X5M competition badging right there. You do have the camera hiding there, and of course, big exhaust, because this is a BMW X5M. They are 4-inch, and you get 4 of them. And it's all wrapped around this lower valence with, of course, different designs. And what I mean by that, it's not one piece. It's a sort of a panel here and then another panel here with rear parking sensors. And there's something they have changed. You see this little reflector here on this side? This is lower and wider out, so it makes the vehicle appear wider from the back, like it's hugging the road more. Whew, interior of the BMW X5M. Now, it feels different, and I'll tell you why. Because the XM is kind of based around this. Like when I jumped in the XM, I'm like, oh, X5, but fancier. A little bit longer, but pretty much the same thing. Except that did not have a sunroof, and this one does. This one has a full panoramic sunroof. It's kind of split. You got sort of a 1/4 and a 3/4, but it has a full sunroof you can use, and the XM does not. It's fancier inside when you talk about like paneling and lighting and all that stuff, but here it's definitely more sporty, and you have suede just like the XM, but it's here where it's a little bit different. No crazy fancy colors. This is more subdued, definitely more sporty. You do get the lights in the seats here, but that's pretty typical M stuff. It's super fancy, but it's kind of typical when you talk about M product. You also have M right here on the dash. It would be replaced if you got a regular X5, or in the X6 case, we can show you right now. The steering wheel is a full M steering wheel. You have M1 and M2 right on the steering wheel, including carbon fiber shifters, and of course, BMW's traditional M stitching. You have the red, the dark blue, and the lighter blue. But as far as the dash goes, let's talk about the door panel first. A lot of mix of materials, lots of different stitching, lots of different colors. Then of course you have ambient lighting, carbon fiber, and then a shell for this Bauer and Wilkins sound system. Clean, modern, love it, BMW. And to add more flair to the Bowers and Wilkins sound system, you do have some lighting that looks like a turbine behind the front tweeter on each of the doors. Then you have this large screen. Gone are the dual 12-inch screens. They are now 14.9 and 12.3 with a nice big heads-up display, and of course the center Bowers and Wilkins sound system. Then you have, lower than that, it's a nice clean HVAC controls that have your pointers right in the middle. It's very, very thin, very modern. Again, this is not new to the X5M, but this is new if you haven't watched our video before. Tons of carbon fiber. Same design as all BMWs now. Right in the middle, you have your volume control, skipping tracks, your 4-ways, and then your front and back defrost. In the middle, you do have this panel that slides back. That is where your wireless charger goes. You have a USB, you have a 12-volt, no USB-C in this area, but you do have heated and cooled cup holders for both the driver and the passenger. Now, the regular X5 does not have this shifter. It is actually a clicky, just like that convertible behind me. Then you have the start and stop button in red, not in silver, and then you have more M buttons to the left of that. And then of course your traditional BMW buttons with your rotary knob that lets you play around with your infotainment right in front of you. Check out this 360 camera. Don't you love the fact that the color on the screen matches the color on the outside of the exact car? Not a lot of companies actually do this. They'll put this standard silver car or standard blue car, and then the color on the outside's not the same. Kind of annoying, but not in this case. Green, BMW, Isle of Man. Back seat of the BMW X5M. Tons of different use of materials. This does have 4 USB-Cs. 2 are hiding down here, and there's 2 hidden ones. They are right here. I lift it up, there's one there. I lift it up here, and there's one here. If I do have stuff to carry around, I have a pretty decent sized pocket right behind each seat. Again, these seats are really, really wide and look super cool from back here. It does obviously have HVAC controls. I do have heated seats on this side and heated seats on that side. And to talk about more sporty stuff, let me show you these seat belts. These are full BMW M seat belts. So let's open up the trunk of this BMW X5. It is a split trunk, which means not the whole trunk panel comes up. This section comes up, and then you have a lower section that you have to press this button, and it's powered and it comes right down. Now the reason for this is that you can put stuff in the trunk and it won't fall back out. So I do like this extra touch versus an Audi Q7. So let's show you how much room we have in the backs of this X5M. You've got 41 inches worth of depth, and as far as width goes, let's see what you have. You have just about 43, I'd say, in terms of full actual usage. Now there's some features here that are kind of interesting. These two buttons. Now you do have a tonneau cover that when you press it does open up and it stops. And then it goes back in. And then you have another button on the bottom. When you hit it, this little panel comes up and then it should slide down like that. Look at that. And out of the way. That is luxury. I do like it. Now, what about underneath here? When I lift this panel up, this is what I get. A little empty space where there would be a tire. Now, of course, all these cars are super fancy with their either run flats or with their tired little cartridge that you get to pump it up. So you get some more storage down here. It obviously does have two hydraulic. This is an expensive car, so I would expect that. When I fold this down, I do have 4 little pieces here to give me extra grip for maybe my groceries or maybe a floor mat. So well. The cool part about it is that these big V8s, they want to just move as you get faster. It's not like the launch is amazing, it's great and it kills it for sure, but it's as you go up in the speed range, it just keeps pulling and pulling. It sounds so good. And this 8-speed is very smooth. Now as far as like bumpiness goes, it's definitely toned down than what I would expect out of an M car, especially an X5, knowing that the old X5s, if you got a sport package, it was like tough on your back. This thing is strong and it definitely obviously whips around corners well, but they've done a good job to like balance comfort and sportiness even when you're in the most dynamic, sportiest mode. So when you get inside your BMW X5M, you have a whole bunch of buttons that you can change and customize. So let's talk about it. In setup here, by hitting the setup button, I have engine choices: Efficient, Sport, and Sport Plus. Same with chassis: Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. Steering, only 2 options: Comfort and Sport, as well as brake, Comfort and Sport. And then the last one is MX Drive, where you can have 4-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive Sport. Of course, if I hit the M mode button, then I have 3 more choices. One is Road, Sport, and Track. But the important piece to know is this: if you got the M Sport package, then you actually have a higher top speed of 180 miles an hour versus the normal 155 if you did not get it. Okay, I'm lightly going off the road and it pushes me back in. Great steering wheel. I love this steering wheel from BMW. It's not the only vehicle they put it in. They put in a whole bunch of other ones, but this steering wheel is excellent. The only difference though is when you get an M Sport car, not a full M, you get a similar steering wheel, but it's just missing these M1, M2 buttons, and of course you don't have carbon fiber shifters on the back of it. So let's lightly talk about this updated transmission. The way they've done it is the first 3 gears are shorter, so it's quicker, has a better acceleration, and then the next 5 gears are actually longer, so you have higher top speed, and it's technically smoother. So that is what they've changed with it. They've strengthened the chassis. When you turn in, turn out, they've tightened all that up to make the X5M more aggressive, obviously, when you take it to the track. They've also added something called a near slip actuator, which essentially means as soon as the wheel tiny slips, it sends basically data to a control unit, and that control unit will just adjust the stability program just a little bit better so it's faster, so you get that performance right to the edge of what this vehicle can do. Oh, baby. Man. It's around corners that you're like, I don't know if this thing can do it. It's just high, it's big, so you're like, can it do it? And you're like, oh, it actually does. It holds so well until it slides and you're like, save me. I'll also say that the driver's display now is very, very informative. The heads-up display is huge and it gives you a shift light, but you can go through all your Sirius XMs and it's very easy and very clean to see. You don't need all this massive screen here. Everything is kind of right in front of you. And then when you look at the driver's display, you can toggle through anything and it's very easy. I just press this content button and it tells me all the content that I want to see. Engine gives you all the same sport displays. G meters, it's really good. But it's the excitement and the sound that you want to hear. It's just like too much, actually. Like, depends the town you live in, but this is a very straight road type of town. It's hard for us to find corners that we can kind of go around and be like, wow, this is amazing. Sometimes I wish you could film in a city that just has really good roads with mountains and the environment, but no, we're stuck in a place that's 2 hours south of Toronto and 2 hours north of Detroit when you look at it on a map. Now, I didn't talk about this in the studio, but they have added a digital key for Apple and Android users, so you can have a digital key on your phone, you can walk into the car, it unlocks, jump in, and of course drive it away, all from your phone. You don't actually need a key anymore. So they're kind of progressively moving upward. But I just love this interior. This is a great, great interior. The question is do you buy an M product or do you buy the M60 product? And that's always a tough one to actually like argue against, because they both actually bring really good pieces and you can argue one over the other. One being, I get almost everything in the M60, but then it's not really an M car, so do I even bother with that? Just spend the money and get the M car? But it's the same argument of people buying a G550 back in the day versus a G63. Why would I buy a G550 when I could buy the G63 and that holds more value? So yes, this is the real one. In theory, this will hold more value. For those that bought like a 5 Series, like a 550i, instead of buying an M5, all those guys are kicking themselves. Unless, of course, you bought the original 540i in a 6-speed and not the M5, because that 540i in a 6-speed was a sick car. But in this specific case, I would just buy this all day long, unless, of course, you buy one that's 2 or 3 years old in the M60i. I know, all these numbers, very complicated. So I hope you guys like this review on this 2024 BMW X5M.